shall be back! I shall be back with my pistol! Ah! Sorry, it's not my cue yet. Okay, mate, you just go and do what you need to do. Humans are strange. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who, The Haunting of Villa Diodati. Well, this was an unexpected story, wasn't it? What I mean is that, like with Fugitive of the Jadoon, you think it starts out as one thing, and you think that's what it's going to be, and then it subverts expectations about midway through. This story starts off as a horror historical story where the Doctor and companions go back and meet Mary Shelley without contradicting any Eighth Doctor audios, by the looks of it, with the Mary Shelley ones, and they meet her and Lord Byron on the night when she's inspired to write Frankenstein. However, ghostly apparitions are happening and mysterious stuff soon begins as the house starts to become a bit of a maze and people start going around in circles, more or less. Parts of a skeleton start coming to life, and a mysterious blue figure appears over the lake. Also, there's a couple of ghosts, but they're just there. They don't actually, at the end, they actually say we don't actually have an explanation for those. The maid and the creepy little girls. They just put those down to they are actually ghosts. Maybe after all. But all the other stuff, there is a really good explanation for that. And it's a pretty big twist when we find out. As it turns out that Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley's husband, has found this thing known as the Cyberium, which has a knowledge and history of all Cyberman battles. And about halfway through the story, the blue figure that Percy saw over the lake, it manages to arrive inside the villa, and it's revealed to be a half-converted Cyberman. He's still got quite a bit of human elements still showing, like the face, and he's still got quite a bit of human emotions. Yet part of the Cyberman and cyber influence is in there. And so the rest of the story has to deal with finding the Cyberium and trying to prevent the Cyberman from getting it. And that's pretty much the basic plot. And it's brilliant. This story has quite a lot going for it, but it doesn't feel overstuffed. It actually feels like there's some really good ideas, and they all at the same time, and they flow really well together. The first half definitely plays with the whole historical horror story, mystery-esque stuff, with some great interaction between the main characters and the supporting cast, including Mary Shelley. And all of them do really great jobs, some interesting stuff there. I like the bit where when one of the guys challenges Ryan to a duel, he then, when he goes off to storms away to go and get his gun, he's then frightened by this little skeleton hand. Somehow, Lord Byron's skeleton that he's got, it's part of his hobby, remains of past battles. Somehow they've been reanimated, come to life for some reason. And it's supposedly part of what's going on with the Cyberium, and Percy Shelley moving parts of the house around so people keep getting lost and trapped, so that he can keep out the Cyberman. But I think it's really well executed here. Some really great stuff going on. Writing and execution really works. I think there's only really one bit I'm not so keen on. That's when after the Doctor knocks herself into a wall or something when trying to leave the house, and then we cut to the next scene. It feels like there was something in the middle missing. Felt like there was something missing. But apart from that, and a couple of creaky dialogue earlier on in the story, but manages to sort itself out quickly. The start of this story is really great, and when we get introduced to the Cyberman, things pick up as well, as with the subversion of the story comes a new element that ties into the next to the two-parter that will follow this story. Some great stuff with all that, and I'm loving how the 13th Doctor goes all 7th Doctor again on the Cyberman when she confronts it. Quite a few great moments there, as well as the companions and supporting characters looking around for clues to investigate. Also, this is probably the most violent Cyberman story since Real Time, the webcast, as we actually see a Cyberman crack, pretty much break somebody's neck. The French mage. We don't actually see it break the neck itself, but we see the Cyberman going down into the box where she's hiding, and then breaking, and then it appears to have broken the neck, but you don't see it. You just see it twisting something in the box. So yeah, breaking the neck, as well as also the usual Cyberman strength being used to kill somebody after being chucked, after being strangled. With the power of the strength of the Cybermen, and how far he's been chucked and how close to a neck break he's probably had, it's not surprising. Although he spares Mary Shelley's son because he considers him weak and sickly, which actually that is something that will happen to the child. He dies 3 years later after being pretty sick. That's a pretty creepy thought. And I like how Mary's trying to get to the human side of the Cyberman, and it's looking like she's succeeding, but ultimately the Cyberman side gets through towards the end when she's trying to persuade it not to carry on what it's doing. Also, the whole stuff about when the Doctor is explaining the Cyberium and the Cybermen. The exposition here is a lot better than some of her past exposition stuff in previous episodes. And also, I think the ending is also pretty well handled, considering the decisions that the characters have to make in the episode and how it can affect history. This story also does some good stuff with the companions, although not a huge amount of development for Yaz, which is still something the series needs to do. But I think it handles each of them, all three of the companions, well. Graham is definitely very comic relief earlier on, but he has some really great moments with the ghosts afterwards. Once again, the supporting cast is also really great, and the supporting characters are really fun. I especially found it quite funny when Lord Byron hid behind one of the women who was kind of fancying him, and then at the end, when he tries to make the moves on her, she rejects him because he was eyeing up the Doctor more. Because he was eyeing up the Doctor, ignoring her, and then hid behind her when one of the other guys who sleepwalks came into the room when it was all higgledy-piggledy, and he didn't see the illusion, so he just saw how the house normally was. So yeah, this story does a really great job in building up the horror historical story to start with, and then going full out Cyberman sci-fi horror later on with some really great twists, and how the explanations of Percy Shelley not being seen by anybody else, and him being half of the three-quarters actually, three-quarters of the mysterious goings on in the house in the first 25 minutes was really great. That was really well executed and really well done. We don't get a final conclusion of who the ghosts actually were, what they actually were, the ones that Graham saw, but maybe that could be left to the imagination. Maybe that could be left to audiences. Maybe they'll be answered later on, but until then, But definitely most of the other stuff was caused by Percy Shelley not being seen, or only partly being seen at some points. And I find the whole idea really interesting with the Cyberman, Cyberium, and Percy Shelley having to be this guardian of it to prevent the future from being ruined. Overall, The Haunting of Villa Diodati is a brilliant story that's brilliantly written and brilliantly executed in its storytelling. Great cast and great supporting characters. The Cyberman mid-story subversion works brilliantly and ties in with both the start of this story and hopefully with the next two episodes. Just a really well written and portrayed story, and yeah, I think this one is probably the strongest of the series, just by the fact that it's just played out really well. There's only a few nitpicks that I have, like this is the bit where the Doctor bangs her head into what's supposed to be the outside, going outside, but she knocks her head out. and knocks her head on it, and then it cuts to another bit a short while later. I'm thinking there's something missing there. But apart from a few nitpicks, I think the story is brilliant. So I'm going to be giving The Haunting of Villa Diodati a 10 out of 10. Yeah, for me, this is probably the best episode and the best story of the series, unless the finale can do any better. But I definitely feel like this one is the strongest when it comes to writing and executing the written story. And for me, it's the first and currently only 10 out of 10 story in Series 12. It's also the first and currently only story from Series 12 to be given a 10 out of 10 in a review on the Whoniversals channel, in a Series 12 episode review, of course. Other reviews have had 10 out of 10s before, but I meant Series 12 ones. And so, bringing this magnificent story to a close, we have hints of what will be coming next time, and I am certainly looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing in Ascension of the Cybermen. Matt will be back next week to talk about that. Another Cyberman 2-part finale for him to review. Well, if it's anything like World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, then we're all going to be happy. So, anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.